Hola, buenos días y bienvenidos a otra lección del español. Welcome to another Spanish lesson. This time we're going to be looking at Nosotros commands in Spanish, or mandatos de nosotros. These are going to be super easy for you if you have already learned either the usted, ustedes commands, the negative to commands, or the subjunctive, because you're going to be seeing a lot of similarities. And you're going to kind of just go with the concept of opposites, which is how I teach those aforementioned things. So I'm going to get right into it here as after I mention one thing, and that's that with nosotros commands, you can give a command to a group of people, like let's do something, in more way than one in Spanish. So one of them, and the really, really easy way to do it, is you can just say, um, like if I want to say let's eat to, maybe I'm sitting at the table and I want to get going and eat this Thanksgiving dinner or whatever, I can just say a comer like that, and that basically can mean let's eat, or let's visit grandma, a visitar a la abuelita, or let's talk. Hablar. It would kind of blend in. The other way you can do it is like if you want to say let's eat, you can say we, which literally means we are going to eat, but you can say vamos a comer, and that's another way to say let's do something. Kind of depends on the context and exactly what it is that you want to say, but that's one way that you can do it. So the other way that you can do it is with an actual nosotros command, which you'll find, like I said a second ago, isn't that hard if you've learned those other things I mentioned a minute ago. So keep in mind opposites, and I'm going to go through and show you a bunch of different um, verbs and how they work in the nosotros command form. So again, let's think opposites. So with hablar, I'm just going to give it an ER type of an ending. So the nosotros command will be hablemos. By the way, before I continue on, if you want the document that's in front of you, it's available in the description of the video via a link. You're welcome to save it or download it, print it off, whatever, and write your own notes on the document. What you see me writing on the screen will not show up on your document, so you have to do that yourself. The command for comer, again, we're thinking opposites. So it's going to go to an A right here. So comamos. Sorry, a little sloppy. And then viver will be vivamos. So the nice thing about these is if you've already learned the subjunctive, those three are exactly the same in the subjunctive. If you haven't learned yet the subjunctive, when you get there, you'll find it to be super easy because, well, it's the same. So those would mean like let's talk, hablemos, let's talk, let's eat, and let's live, in a place or something. So boot verbs, they do not apply unless it is an IR boot verb. Remember, if you keep in mind boot verbs, I got my verb here, I draw my chart around it. Here's nosotros. So normally you wouldn't have to worry about it, but we'll talk about when you do have to worry about it. So cerrar, it is a boot verb, but it's not an IR boot verb, so we don't have to worry about that change. So I'm just going to do just like I did hablar, and I'll go to cerremos like that with its opposite type ending. Volver, it is a boot verb, but again, it's not an IR boot verb, so I don't have to worry about it. And it's just going to go to volvamos, like that. Okay, the next two are both boot verbs, and they are also IR verbs. So this can be hard to remember because you have to kind of look at something that you've probably already learned, and that is the preterite and what change takes place in the preterite. And the reason that you need to know that is because I don't know why I typed that on here. Let's fix this. Morir goes to a UE or a U. So when you guys look up verbs like this, what you'll find is that sometimes it'll say E to I, comma I, or O to UE, comma U. And what that means, this second one, is that this is the change that takes place with this verb's conjugation in the preterite he, she, usted form, or ellos, ellas, ustedes form. So that means just at the bottom of that verb chart that's over there. I'll do these ones in red if they'll let me. There we go. So these ones over here, the change that takes place here in the preterite is also going to take place in the nosotros command up here. So it's hard to remember all these steps, but once you use it a lot, it's not too bad. So pedir in the preterite goes to pidio. So I'm going to keep that change, that PID change, and then I'll add my opposite ending for the nosotros command, which is amos. So pilamos would be the nosotros command. Morir in the preterite in the he, she form goes to murio, M-U-R-I-O. So I'm going to keep that M-U-R change. And then I'm going to add my ending to it, which will be opposite for an IR would be an AMOS, muramos. Hopefully you never find yourself saying that. But that's the command. So this would be like let's cerrar would be let's close, volver, let's return, pedir, let's order something, etc. Let's go down here to the cargar zar verbs. So we do need to keep these things in mind. So when I'm looking at sakar, for example, I got to do something to keep that k sound. So it's going to go to QU, and then I'll add my opposite ending, which is an EMOS because it's an AR verb. Pagar, I got to do something to keep the g sound. And the reason we do this is because if I don't make that change, if I don't put that U in there, then the pronunciation would be pagemos, and I want to make it pagemos, so I could put that extra U in there. And that's the same with sakar. If I didn't change it to a QU and I just left it as C, it would be a sasemos, and I want to keep that k sound of sakar. And then kasar would be kasemos with a C like that. Okay, let's go down some more. What about reflexive verbs? So if you've learned your two commands or you said commands, there was a rule that I teach with pronouns, and that is with affirmative commands, you're going to attach it to the end of the verb. With the negative command, you're going to not attach it. You're actually going to put it in front. So I got 4 of these for you here. So let's do lavar first, and we'll do them in both so you can kind of see how it works. Let's do the negative first because negative is a little bit easier. So let's remember that since these are nosotros commands, the se is going to change to nos. And I'm going to go, this is the negative command again. No, nos, and then lavemos, like that. I didn't mention earlier, but if you want to make any of these commands negative, you just stick a no in front of it. So earlier when I said, pagar, which pagemos would mean let's pay. If I want to say let's not pay for something, I can just put no in front of it and say no pagemos. All right, let's continue. So let's do all negatives first because the negatives are way easier. So I'm just going to do no every time. And then I'm going to put the nos in front every time. That's 2 words, by the way. It's not nonos. And then, so ver is a little bit irregular. It goes to veamos, like that. Dormirse. Now, I didn't do this one earlier, but dormir is an IR verb. It's also a boot verb. The O goes to UE in the present tense, and the preterite, it just goes to a U. So it's going to have just that U change. So dormamos. And then irse is going to be no nos vayamos. You know what I'm going to do also in the description of the video is link to another video on the Nosotros commands that I have, as well as a video on the formation of the subjunctive, because it has all of these irregular forms where like ir goes to vaya, ver goes to ve, that kind of stuff. And I didn't put this in this video either, but while I'm thinking about it, I'll get back to the affirmatives here in a second. But while I'm thinking about it, all those ones that have a weird yo form, like tener, the nosotros commands for that would be tengamos, like that. So like salir would be salgamos, traer, tragamos, etc. You're going to keep that weird yo form in the nosotros command form. All right, let's go ahead and do these in their affirmative form. If you didn't get a chance to write those down, just rewind the video a little bit. So again, for the affirmative commands, we are going to be attaching the nos to the end of it. But there's one other catch, one other thing that we have to do, which makes it a little bit more challenging. So let's first ask ourselves, what is lavar in the nosotros command? So it's lavemos, right? Okay, and then the se changes to nos, and I'm going to attach it to the end. The only thing, though, actually, there's 2 things. One, I'm going to actually remove this s, and then I'm going to attach the nos to it. So my command is lavémonos. And then you have to add an accent mark right here because that's where the stress in that word falls. If you want to get into accent marks, just search YouTube for Spanish accent marks, and mine's the first lesson that comes up. So lavémonos, and that's on the 3rd syllable back from the end. And anytime you have a word where the stress falls in the 3rd one back, you have to have a written accent mark there. Like on the word Wednesday, for example, miércoles. That's on the 3rd syllable back. That's why there's an accent mark there. All right, so verse. Normally it's veamos, right? Veamos. I'm not going to add the S because I'm just going to attach the nos to it. So it's veamonos. There's an accent mark on that A. Dormir was durmamos, right? So durma. And then I'll not add the S, but the nos to it. So I've got durmamonos. And then irse if you've ever seen the cartoon Dora the Explorer, this is what she says all of the time. So ir in its affirmative nosotros form command is actually not vayamos, it's just vamos. So vamos, I'll not add the s to it, and then I'll attach my nos to it, and it's vamonos, like that. So this is, I think, the only one that is weird in nosotros commands. The negative for ir is no vayamos, and the affirmative is just vamos. The rest of them don't do that, just ir. So vamonos is the affirmative nosotros command for irse. Let's go down a little more. So how about other pronouns like the taco? So I want to say, let's eat it. So when you do this kind of stuff, you don't remove that s like you do with the reflexive pronouns, and then the taco can change to lo. So comamos lo would be let's eat it. And then the negative, you just say no lo comamos. The command for mandar would be mandemos, right? And then I would just attach the le, mandemos le. Or if it was negative, no le mandemos. Okay, that's a lot of information. I do have some practice for you if you want to stick around a little bit longer. It's right there on the screen. Why don't you go ahead and pause it, and then I'm going to scroll down and start giving the answers to this. So pause the video if you want to do this. And I did give you the ones that are boot verbs and the changes that they take place. I did not. Oh, I did put that right there, actually. Okay, yeah, so go ahead and do those. And then in about 2 seconds, I'm going to scroll down. So pause the video. All right. I'm going to go ahead and just write these on the screen like I've been doing. So trabajar would be trabajemos. So trabajemos hoy would be let's work today. Vender los videojuegos, so let's sell the video games. So we vendamos los videojuegos. Let's share the food. Would be compartamos la comida. Jugar a baloncesto, let's play basketball. Now, jugar is a boot verb, but it's not an IR boot verb, so I do not need to worry about that change. But it is a gar verb where I have that stick that extra U in there to keep the g sound. That's supposed to be an arrow. That's a good arrow. So, juguemos el baloncesto. Let's play basketball. Tocar la guitarra. This is a car verb, right? So I've got to do something to keep that k sound. So I've got toquemos la guitarra. Let's scroll down a little bit. All right, so let's start the project. Now, empezar is a boot verb, but it's not an IR verb, so I don't need to worry about that change. But it is a ZAR verb, so I gotta change that Z to a C. So I've got empecemos el proyecto. Let's start the project. Contar also a boot verb, but not an IR verb, so I don't need to worry about it. And that's going to be contemos los números. Let's count the numbers. Pensar is just going to be pensemos. Let's think. Pensemos. Mentir, which means to lie, and it is a boot verb, and it's also an IR verb. So I do got to make this I change in its nosotros command form. Hopefully you're not going to tell people to lie, but mintamos would be the command for that. And then despertarse, we're going to do both the affirmative and the negatives for that one. Now it is a boot verb, but it's an AR verb, so I do not need to worry about that change. So let's do the negative first because it's easier. No, nos, and then the opposite would just be despertemos. And then the affirmative, normally you'd go despertemos, right? M-O-S, but I'm not going to add the S because I'm attaching the nos to it, which will go right here. Despertémonos, just like that. Despertémonos. Okay. That's kind of a rundown on Nosotros Commands. Sorry for such a long video, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into this. If you have questions, let me know. Be sure to check out the description of the video for the links to this document, to the other Nosotros Command lesson, and to a video lesson on forming the subjunctive, because that also will have all of those irregulars that if you don't know them yet. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Hasta luego.